Woman who stole Chicago cop's car and ran him over found not guilty despite it all being on video. Car gone. I've done everything right, cries driver fined $700 after his car was stolen. He has to pay for the thief's actions. A driver was held responsible for hundreds of dollars in road infractions, even though authorities knew the vehicle had been stolen. A Hyundai Sonata raced by school zones, went 100 miles per hour in a 35 mile per hour zone, and was totaled by a teenager, authorities said. But the owner was still on the hook for the road fines. We're living in idiocracy. Like I've said before, it just gets dumber and dumber every day. Disney senior vice president caught on camera claiming company hires based on race and believes it's just good for society. And this isn't even talking about the actors in the movies. They're even talking about executive positions in the company itself. Surgeon General demands warning label on social media apps. Inside every neocon, there are two wolves. One wants World War III. The other isn't willing to actually fight in World War III. This should absolutely be a requirement. If you speak out demanding war, or if you're in a position to vote for war, then you, your children, or grandchildren should be the first ones to go. But instead, it's completely the opposite. They're the ones that never will go, even when the draft isn't stated. U.S. bans on gasoline-powered leaf blowers grow, as does blowback from landscaping industry. You guys heard of this stupidity yet? They're trying to ban all two-cycle engines. This article is talking about leaf blowers, but the next thing will be string trimmers. And there's some places already trying to ban lawnmowers as well, demanding that all these things are moved to only battery-powered equipment. People cheating on their taxes disgust me. This is not the world I want to raise my 23 dependents in. I can't today. I'm busy watching the season finale of the United States. And now for my next trick, I will give you 3 $600 checks, and the next year I will crash your 401k, and you will pay $2,000 more in property taxes or rent, $800 more for gas, and $3,000 more for groceries. Modern video games are giving kids unrealistic standards for how many swords they can carry at one time. How is this a news article? Me answering the door to the recruitment officers for World War III. This is why we can't have nice things. That's definitely a good portion of it. He wants my steak. No, he doesn't like meat. We are both vegan.
Please help me.
Texas grandfather, 105, to watch his 13th total solar eclipse. He's almost old enough to be president. He could definitely run for Congress. Welcome to San Francisco, where the dogs step in human poop. Fact check true. How do I communicate with blind people? Like, obviously there's Braille, but is there some form of clicking I can do with my tongue to simulate Braille verbally? Edit. Never mind. You can just talk to them. It's hard to fully grasp just how dumb this generation is. Me trying to get a discount any way possible. Discount code. Please. Money may not buy happiness, but it'll buy a diesel. And I've never seen a sad person rolling coal. I get their point and all, but personally I do think this is stupid to do. I'd be mad if I was behind somebody and they done that to me. Government. We need common sense lead dispenser laws. Also government. End oil pipelines. End nuclear power. Sign the largest green energy deal. Yo, where's my lights at? People so foolish they get behind all the propaganda that they're fed. No matter how obvious, how much harm it's going to cause to themselves, let alone the nation. Pump 5 is closed at Quick Stop due to a pretty big fuel spill. Angela is getting it dried up. One way or the other. Since we now know that plastic straws are bad for the environment, I propose we start to bring these back. They would demand that those be made out of paper too, but of course they'd wrap it in a plastic bag. Throwback to when Apple still cared about us. Why is it with everything you buy now that it requires a USB cable to charge it? And number one, it comes with a little bitty tiny short cable. And number two, it doesn't even come with a charger anymore. Now, you have to go buy a separate charger, and anymore, they cost you between 20 to 40 bucks each. And of course, you'll have to buy a longer cable, because you won't have a place to set your device 6 inches from the wall socket. Joe Biden having a lifelong stutter doesn't mean he's senile. You're a mark for totalitarian propaganda. As they say, Washington, D.C. is just Hollywood for ugly people. Electric vehicle owners should only be allowed to charge their cars using solar and wind power. Otherwise, it's just pretend. I agree with this 100%. You want to get up there and demand to do away with so-called fossil fuels? Then you should not be allowed to use them or benefit from them in any way, shape, or form. We care about gas and groceries, not pronouns. The government would never do that. Starter pack. The Tuskegee experiment. Operation Paperclip. MK Ultra. Fast and the Furious. Operation Northwoods. Operation Mockingbird. And many, many more. You're looking for a safe space? Learn how to handle a lead dispenser, and you can make any space safe. That is a fact. I just talked about this in the last episode. Firestorm erupts over requiring women to sign up for the military draft. Senate Democrats have added language to the annual defense authorization bill to require women to register for the draft, prompting backlash from Republicans and social conservatives, and complicating the chances of moving the bill on the Senate floor before Selection Day. They first put this in the National Defense Authorization Bill in 2022, and I believe they did it again in 2023, and now they've done it again in 2024. Will they take this back out of the bill before they pass it? It's likely. The reason they keep doing this over and over again is to get the public used to hearing about it, and eventually this will be implemented. Most likely only after the U.S. officially declares the start of World War III. Women rank bad first date spots. Number 5, the Olive Garden. Number 4, Chipotle. Number 3, Chili's. Number 2, Applebee's. And number 1, the Cheesecake Factory. Men, if you take a woman on a first date to any of these or similar places, and they don't like it because it's not expensive enough, then you already know not to go any further, because they're not looking for a man. They're just looking for a bank account. That's about like that guy that went on a blind date with some woman, and she brought along 23 of her family and friends, and expected him to pay for it all. At least he asked for a separate bill and only paid for his own meal. And he left her with the rest of the bill that was more than $800. I hope this dude is going straight home. The worst part is, this is not the first time that I've seen someone do this exact same thing. And people just keep getting dumber and dumber too. Me, you'd have to be a dummy to believe literally anything they say on the news at this point. My liberal friend. Guys, it just don't go for liberals. The government and the media plays both sides. Proof that people will argue over anything. Here's a cup of water. October 25th, 2011. Bitcoin down to $2.70 a pop. So glad I didn't buy in on that mess. 4 days ago. Is this guy still alive? Alive, but dead inside. It'll all come crashing back down at some point. Please tell me again how the man with the lowest approval rating ever also got the most votes ever. Editing my pictures so I can get my money back on DoorDash. I've been broke, but never been this broke. Yet more of the people of Yellowstone. Parkgoer shares concerning photo of tourist surrounding grizzly bear at National Park. People with cameras feel so entitled. The behavior by these tourists exhibits their stupidity and lack of self-preservation. 2024. Honey, I found a picture of your grandma. 2060. Honey, I found a picture of your grandperson. Don't worry, we won't be around that long. When a single washer cost 8 cents. They're worth more using them this way than any other. And yes, I have used pennies as washers before. When you have pets and you forget to lint roll yourself before leaving the house. The stuff they call fashion today. Well, anyway. It's fine to eat a test grape in the produce section, but you take one bite out of a rotisserie chicken and it's all, "Sir, you need to leave." Well, it's like some of those people that was sitting down in the middle of the store and had an entire meal and got up and left without paying for anything. New rule. If I order standing up, I'm not tipping. Completely agree. I never cared about owning a home until this very moment. Great news, millennials. Home Depot now sells head-in bookshelf doors. To be honest, I've always wanted something like this. But I wouldn't want one that's just mass-produced. They'd be too easy to spot after a while. Sometimes self-control wins. Sometimes it doesn't. This is happening more and more. Any of these guys that drive these type trucks should know better than to park on the road or next to the road. Because all the mid to late Gen Z that grew up playing things like Grand Theft Auto, they see a truck like this sitting next to the road, and apparently they just can't help themselves. Back in the 90s, you could eat all of this for only $4.25. I think I had this in a Gen X video recently. I haven't been to Taco Bell in a long time, but if I had to take a guess, that's probably cost you $30 now. Lizzo declares, "I quit," in new message. I didn't sign up for this. Actually, you literally did. You took contracts and got paid for it. Full tank of gas always feels great. It's not going to feel great in a couple minutes. What are your intentions with my daughter? Me. Today, people like this are labeled domestic extremists, racist, and are destroying the earth. When someone asks me why I never leave the house, unfortunately, there are people in our society. That pretty much sums it up these days. I don't even see the Oscars anymore. I just see... It is true. Why do so many unalivers bury victims in their own backyards? Not everyone has the trunk space or gas money to drive way out in the middle of nowhere to dump their bodies. Check your privilege. We're all out here doing the best we can. I feel like I had this in a previous video. So today I learned that Trixie's voice actor is legally blind, and all of her scripts were written in Braille. She didn't sound blind at all. Does anybody think before they speak these days? I mean, this isn't even speaking. They literally had to type this out and post it. The US dollar. Nothing. This is true. And it's getting worse every day. You should sign up for our 401k. I can't run that far. Government in a nutshell. We passed the Free Soda Act for all. Awesome! When do we get our free soda? Free soda? The bill makes owning a dog illegal. This is absolutely true. There are so many bills that the name sounds like a good thing or whatever, but if you actually go into the bill and look at what it says, if you were actually able to read the 5,000 pages or whatever, then you find it has nothing to do with what the name of it is. Me, I promise I won't get all political. 3 drinks later. San Francisco either has a huge homeless problem or a gigantic camping success story. Rob Schneider. I've heard him make a number of good points and comments. One of the few. Blaming her for slavery is like blaming her for Pearl Harbor. Something else you never hear about these days is all the white slaves that were owned in the U.S. Butcher open. Dear vegans, I've unalived this cow because it was eating your food. You're welcome. If women get paid less, we should pay less taxes. That's how taxes work. Adult life summed up. You can't just quit. You have bills to pay. This is true. I noticed your ad only went back to 1950. What were you doing in the 1940s? Most people know about companies like Volkswagen, but there are a lot of major companies that people would be very shocked in the things that they've had a hand in, especially concerning military. How the cashier looks at me after trying to bankrupt me over a bag of groceries. Don't worry, they're having it just as bad or worse than you are. For some of them, it might be their second or third job, and for a lot of others, it's their post-retirement job, because they still can't afford to pay their bills. There's so many people these days that literally have to work all the way up until they unalive. I've personally known some. Tell me the truth. I'm ready to hear it. Your house is not worth more. Your currency is worth less. Fact check true. It's just like all the people that think that they can buy gold and then sell it in the future for a profit. That's not how it works. That 1 ounce gold piece is always a 1 ounce piece of gold. The only reason it costs more to buy it is because the dollar is worth less, so it takes more dollars to buy that same 1-ounce piece. Now, on the flip side, a more proper understanding is that if you have extra money that is just sitting, and you use that money to buy gold in order to stop inflation from just eating up your assets. However, most of us don't have any extra money. And even those that do, one thing to remember, you can't eat gold. Cobalt miners watching you virtue signal on your smartphone. Me while getting a haircut. I look at these and have to ask, are these both really Zuckerberg? Because if they're supposed to be, the one on the left must be the real human version, and the one on the right is his android. Because the one on the right is usually always the one you see. My family of 4 ate at Olive Garden for the first time, and our $150 meal felt like an excellent value. I know $150 doesn't buy much groceries these days, but it sure as heck buys more than one meal. What I envision when thinking about $1 million home. This is $1 million home. Sad, but true. I've seen other houses that ain't much better than that were also $1 million homes. Getting into America. Getting into Disneyland. It's absolutely true. Also, in the top one, they pay them to come in. In the bottom one, you have to pay to get in. If they showed all the taxes, they'd fill up the highway. I love giving up 12 hours of my life every day so my kids can buy new clothes for their characters on their video games. Dr. Lewis saved my life. I honestly don't know how to earn that 5th star. That is pretty bad. There are some people that won't get 5 stars no matter what. Bro just cut in front of me with his refrigerator. That's actually a pretty legitimate description. The Fed keeps printing money. So, if they can print unlimited money, why do we pay taxes? Control. Why is she diving in knee-deep water? When someone asks, how many memes are on your phone? Babe, I'm getting another lead dispenser. Come home with 2 or you're sleeping on the couch. In high school, I tried using anonymous sources instead of real citations, but this was not allowed because I was a 9th grader and not a journalist. That is true. Canadian town unveils 17-foot-tall Cheeto statue, complete with a full helping of Cheeto dust. This is art these days. I have seen worse, but I have to wonder, how much did somebody get paid for that? I showed a similar meme in a past video. I think it was about beer. But this is literally a sign in front of a restaurant. So we parked our plane in Detroit and... yeah, well, my memes and posts are being fact-checked by men that think they can breastfeed. This is a sad, sad truth. You can't spell hero without her. You can't spell her without he. This Xavier guy always has great posts. If Build Back Better was an umbrella, it's true, it is designed that way. For extra cash, consider robbing offenders. Their address is easy to find, and they can't own lead dispensers. That's not true. Politicians have loads of security. This is true. Only 90s kids will remember. Yep, I guarantee you he wouldn't say that today. I had some Bill Nye memes on past episodes, and there were several of you guys pointed out that Bill Nye started his career as a stand-up comedian. That was something I didn't know, but I did know that he has no credentials as a quote-unquote scientist, and is nothing more than a paid propagandist actor, just like a lot of others. Survived college without becoming a liberal. That's a real testament these days. Not only that she survived, but that she was even allowed to graduate. Click on one of the videos above to help support the channel. Please hit that like button and subscribe. I thank you all for watching. This is Akorn, over and out.
Yeah, it was an intense experience. You know, I just did the work. Watched a lot of retarded people. Spent time with them, observed them. Watched all the retarded stuff they did.